Hi everyone. In the time that we will do this interview, this segment, about 7 to 10 minutes, another person will be added to the organ donation or organ transplant list in this country. And I think that's an important thing to bring out at the very beginning. My guest today, Dawn Benjamin with Donate Life Tennessee, and Rayshawn Moran, who is a double lung recipient,
Yes.
looking so healthy and beautiful.
Thank
and
you.
so glad to have both of you here.
Thank you.
So every 10 minutes, a new person is added to that list.
That's right. It really is a medical crisis in our country because transplants are so much needed today. Over 113,000 people right now on the national waiting list. Just to bring that home, about 3,000 of those people live right here in the state of Tennessee.
Astounding. Such big numbers. Tell us a little bit about the organization Donate Life Tennessee and the significance of organ donation, which you've already highlighted by just the sheer numbers of people waiting.
Yeah. Well, Donate Life Tennessee is our state's organization that manages the Tennessee Organ and Donor Tissue Registry. So our mission is to educate, encourage, and inspire people to take that step, document their decision, and sign up on the registry. One person can save or help as many as 50 people through organ and tissue donation.
I know through tissue donation, is it 50 at one time through tissue donation? And there was another interesting number.
8 lives are saved through the organ donation.
All right, now Rayshawn, I want to get to you pretty quickly here, since you are living proof of the beauty of organ donation. And tell us a little bit about your experience and your story. What led to you needing this transplant?
I received my transplant in August of 2015, and it was probably one of the 3 best days of my life. I'd gotten very, very sick with cystic fibrosis, and I was so weak that it was hard for me to stand while I brushed my teeth. I was almost so out of breath that I couldn't eat. I couldn't carry my purse anywhere, and I'd grown dependent on oxygen. So I had to be on oxygen at 24 hours a day. I was listed for the transplant on July 31st of 2015, and then 31 days later, I received my donor lungs.
That seems like a pretty quick turnaround. Obviously not for you when you're in that condition, but is that fairly fast?
I think so. The average time for kidneys, which is the most transplanted organ today, is about 3 years. So that's a really long waiting
I guess
time.
that's what I'm used to hearing about.
Yeah, that's because the need is so great. 80% of our list are just people waiting on kidneys, no other organ.
And why is that?
Well, what we
kidney
have
disease?
seen in the past 20 to 30 years is that we've seen an increase in the number of people needing a kidney transplant, basically because of diabetes and the prevalence of that disease.
Of diabetes. Okay, what is next after kidney transplants?
I would think liver is probably second.
All right. How has life changed for you? I mean, that is a big question, but can you carry on the way you did before you got so sick, now that you have new lungs?
Even better.
Better?
I really don't know that I ever knew what a real breath felt like before, because cystic fibrosis is something you're born with.
Yeah.
I thought, I didn't know I was sick until I was a junior in high school. So, just feeling that way was normal for me. But from the moment I woke up, before I even opened my eyes, I could tell such a tremendous difference.
I can only imagine.
It was incredible.
New life, new lease
New
on
life.
life.
Yeah.
The first thing I thought was, man, this donor must have been an athlete, because this is amazing.
Do you know anything about
I
the donor?
don't.
You don't?
I'm hoping maybe the donor's family is watching today, and they can hear my shout out to thank them for the decision.
No kidding. Who is eligible to be an organ donor? We know there are living donors, which is just fascinating to me. You
Right.
hear about that all the time, where someone will donate a kidney or part of the liver.
Right.
Who is eligible?
Who is eligible? Well, let's take living donation first. That would be something that a person would coordinate through a transplant center. Maybe they have a friend or family member who's in need of a transplant, and they could volunteer to be a donor, and then if they're a match, then that would take place. But they have to be healthy enough. They go through a very strict screening process, because we don't want to endanger another person's life by doing that. Now, with deceased donation, anyone potentially could be a donor when they pass away. A lot of people mistakenly think that a medical condition like high blood pressure or diabetes would impact that. There are no medical rule outs. You never know what you might be able to give. So we always encourage people to go ahead. If you want to be a donor, sign up on the registry. Let your family know this is what you want to do, and then at the time of your death, let the medical professionals decide if there's something that can be used to save or improve someone's life. Another very common myth is that people think they're too old. Age is not the factor. It's all about the health of the person and the health of each organ. And the best example that I give people is with the liver. The liver is the most resilient organ in the human body, and we've actually had cases in Tennessee where people were in their 90s and they still able to pass on that gift of life to someone.
Incredible. Any other myths that you would like to clear up? Because I think some people, they still have a hard time with thinking about, you know, after death donating.
Sure. A couple of the top ones that we hear frequently is probably the number one is that I'm worried if I'm an organ donor that they won't work hard to save my life. And that could not be further from the truth. The doctors, nurses, EMTs, those people are in the life-saving business, and they only call us when all life-saving measures have been exhausted. The second myth that's very common is a lot of people think that their religion would prohibit it, and that's not the case. All major religions support donation as an act of charity and kindness.
Is it enough to sign your driver's license or not?
We no longer sign a driver's license on the back. That is another misconception, and I'm glad you brought that up because people think that that's the way we do it. Today we have the registry, and that is the best way that someone can document their decision because it is considered a legal form of consent. So we treat it like an advance directive. You know how you decide to do a living will? You decide that you want to be a donor, you do this, so that we can carry out your wishes.
You could even specify, I'm
yes,
sorry to
you
interrupt.
can.
You could specify, I want to be a heart donor, liver.
Right. So the best way to do that is at the DMV when you go to get your license or renewal, or you can go online. You don't have to wait to renew your license. Today, if there's someone watching that wants to be a donor and they've not signed up, they can go online and take care of that.
Okay, Rashawn, in the few seconds we have left, your message to people watching to encourage them to be organ donors.
Please consider being an organ donor and talk to your family. Let them know your decision so that in the unlikely event that you were to pass, that they would know your wishes and not have to make that terrible decision in the time of grief.
And you are just a living example of the benefit of organ donation and the beauty of that. We're so glad you're here and healthy.
I'm very thankful. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in, Rashawn, and thank you, Dawn, for sharing the important information about organ donation. And we'll be back with a lot more right after this.